Hey there guys, welcome back to the channel. Well, there you go, a very cold, well, cool, I guess you could say for here, 22-degree morning on this Friday. Very early sunset. I usually head out. It depends on the weather when I go out to let Turkey Dude and all the chickens out in the morning. There needs to be some little bit of light, but depending on the weather, it could still stay kind of dark, 7:30-ish. So usually when I go out, if the sun starts to pop through, I kind of check it out and I think, oh, this would be really pretty. So there you guys go. Happy Friday. I hope everybody's doing well. I wanted to hop on here today because I wanted to answer a comment that I got, and it is from my friend Ernie, Ernie's Cabin. And if you guys have not seen his channel, I would highly recommend that you do. I'm so glad to have had that channel offered to me and checked it out because I really enjoy it. Beautiful nature. He lives in a cabin, a little more secluded than I am, up in Canada somewhere. And so go check it out. And I've really enjoyed having him on my channel as my friend. And I had a comment that he left and it said something like, "Why do you want to help humans so much? Haven't we done enough?" And I didn't take it like rude or maybe some cynicism in it, but another friend chimed in like, yeah, I wonder too. And it really got me to thinking. So do know that I really appreciate your comments and I do read all of them. Sometimes I find comments from a really long time ago that I just never saw. So I apologize if I don't give some sort of, like or response because I do read them all and it's part of the reason why I'm on here. I enjoy the social part of it. But I thought about it a lot and I kind of jokingly said one answer, part of it was risk management. And it kind of isn't joking. I believe with what's coming and how drastically the culture of America is going to change as we know it, in the sense of entitlement, the things we take for granted that we have right now. I've mentioned before, people getting on their phones. I'm starving and I can't barely feed my kids, but I have a cell phone bill that I'm paying, obviously, so I can post this, things like that. We take so much for granted that it's just an entitlement and a right that we should have. And I do believe there is a very, very serious financial crash coming. I'm not an economist. I did hair for 10 years, but I consider myself pretty wise to looking at a bird's eye view of things. And like I've said, connecting dots. And in my opinion, the more people that are of my mindset that can, I'm not going to hound people. Like, trust me, I've had to write off people that think I'm crazy or, don't eye roll. That's fine. Like, I'm not trying that hard, but I am going to continue to offer putting the seeds out there because in my opinion, the more people that get on board with this as soon as possible, it's risk management. The less of a liability those people are. And just like my potty video, poop video, it's not sexy. Nobody wants, a lot of people can't listen to potty talk, but, I'm a mom and I have animals and I'm almost 50 years old. There's not a lot that can insult me or, gross me out. But that kind of stuff is important. And those are things that we take for granted and are entitled to go and just sit on a toilet and flush it when we're done and wash our hands and not think about what happens if all of that stops. And so the more bugs I can put out there to people and just plant a little seed, it only takes that little spark of, oh yeah, what if then you go and wow, What if gas stations shut down and I couldn't get in my car and drive to go get my food that I do every 2 days? Or what if the, grocery stores? So it just doesn't take a whole lot typically to get the ball rolling on that. So that is definitely one reason that I feel it's worth it. And I'm not going to overextend myself, but I'm going to put out stuff out there that comes up that helped me get to where I am. And I'm not, like I've said this before, I do what I can, and I'm not super, there's some things that would end me and everything I have here, but I've also thought about it, and I know my timeline, and that's where you get into kind of the mentally preparing and knowing what your boundaries are with it. But the other reason I do this is because of choice. And I've said this before, and I really want to go into a little bit more detail about it. Having a choice in the sense that you have some options and control, and the kind of buzzword everybody's saying right now is agency over your life as you know it, can make or break everything for you. And there's so much coming at us. I've talked about AI, I've talked about financial. My feed is just being blasted with robotics. And, you can connect all those dots. You can look at that. You can look at our government, just the wars. I mean, it goes on and on and on, and it's so much that it's overwhelming. But all of this is going to come to a head, I believe. And I know what it's like to not have choice or be very limited with your choices. And I wanted to give a little bit of background without too much detail, because really it's none of your guys' business, but how I got here and where I'm at right now. I've mentioned, do not assume people's lives the way you see it on a camera. And I do my best to convey the realities of where I am in my life without, again, giving away too much information. But I've said this before, and I'll continue to say it. You can't assume that you see something and just think that people's lives are set up or, perfect. I mean, we've all seen the marriages that look like they're so great, and then, they're all divorced. But prior to the relationship that brought me up here, I was in another relationship, not my son's father. That ended a long time ago. But this relationship was something that kind of was a part of my past, a prior past, and rekindled and brought me back. And again, not too many details, but they are a horrible person. Horrible. And I had a career. I was able to take care of myself. I had a very good relationship with my son. And they manipulated me enough to drag me out of all of that and financially ruin me. So after I was able to escape that, I quickly found myself in my last relationship, and you can hear where hopefully I've had time to learn and grow from all of my stupid mistakes, and I own them. I'm not a victim about that. But this last relationship, I had so much confidence in and just thought it was just a miracle that I had found this. And we acquired, all my animals that you see on my videos. We made the move here to this ranch. And I basically, from the moment I got up here, have been by myself because it was all an illusion. And again, I'm not a victim about it. I have owned it. But it has left my life extremely limited with choices that I can or can't make. And what the worst part about it is, not the worst, but through my healing, this has been going on 6 years now, I not only realized my mistakes and how not to make them again, but I have also realized how freaking awesome I am. And I mean, I say that very confidently and proudly. I never had been in a position where I had to reach down in my soul and pull myself out of really dark times. I mean, literally dark. It gets cold and it gets dark here. And when you don't have family around or friends around, and it's just your animals, and trust, I mean, yes, they're good company, but nothing will replace human contact. You really find out if you've got what it takes to survive. And I don't mean to be dramatic, but it came down to that. And so when I look at what I've come out of and how strong of a person I am, I also realized my potential more than I ever have. And it's very hard to live knowing I have so much potential, yet I'm still limited with my choices because of past choices. My only way to be able to live up to my full potential is to leave my animals behind. And is that fair to them? Yeah, I know those of you that are real hardcore ranchers out there are probably like, those are sheep, those are goats, that's food. And yeah, maybe to you, but to me, they've been my family for the last 6 Thanksgivings and the 5 Christmases. And they're what I get up to every morning and go to bed to every night. So it would be really hard to do that. So it is a choice, but I've chosen to have limited choices because of that. And so that is why I do it, because I see people living their lives, going on day by day, going on vacations, buying new cars, doing things because we have been programmed to live such normal lives. Everything's fine. The government's got it, or it'll get better. It always does. Yeah, we may go through a little rough time, but it's going to get better. And this time is different. It just is. And, I really do feel sorry for people that aren't paying attention, because what's coming, man, it's just going to be so different. So having that aha moment of maybe just hearing one of my videos and finding that motivation and getting ready physically, mentally. I've talked about practicing being poor. I mean, not only just poor, but poor with a government completely controlling every move you make, down to what food you buy, down to where you travel, down to knowing where you have been physically at every location. I just don't think people understand that. So if you have and you start taking the time right now, every day, to get ready for that, then you will have more choice. You will have more agency, that buzzword. And if I'm wrong, what do you have to lose? I mean, you've got some extra food if, you can't get to the store in time. You got a little extra gas if the gas prices go up, or, something happens and you really need to get gas right then, or whatever it is. Or, mentally preparing for hard times. Maybe something else comes up. Maybe you get ill. Maybe you lose a family member. but staying in that mindset. And I'm not saying doom and gloom mindset. I'm saying a healthy mindset, being physically capable, being the best you can, not slumping into just, I was kind of laughing. I was going through my surplus, and it's hard to buy food for long-term storage because a lot of it's really bad for you. But if you buy and you don't want it to go to waste, it's like, oh, and I've been having to eat some of my supplies that I know aren't the best for me, and I don't prefer to eat it. And I have felt it. My joints feel different. I feel foggy. So I will say that keeping your body physically healthy and eating the best food that you can for yourself is going to pay off. And again, you have nothing to lose by doing it. I wanted to end on a little story about, I don't know if it's relevant or not. I think it is. And you can make the decision if you think it's relevant. But 2 years ago, I was going through a really hard time when I was talking about, dark and it being kind of lonely. So I had fired up my old Words with Friends app, and I love that game. And it's a great example of how keeping a mindset, you will be prepared. Because if you haven't played that game in a while, you forget the planning ahead, the strategy behind, because there is a strategy. And so I had hopped on there just to kind of numb my mind, I guess, and it feels good to use it too. So I was playing a bunch of games, and I had a random player come up, and then she invited me to play another game, and because our skill level was pretty similar, and her name was Marty. And we got to kind of sending each other DMs because it has a DM on there. And I found out she lived in Washington, I think the west coast of Washington somewhere. And she was a retired woman. And we didn't talk a lot, but we just kind of chit-chatted a little bit. And I really enjoyed playing with her. And with Words with Friends, as you get to different levels or you've played so many people, you will get, you kind of follow, it's hard to explain, but there's like a whole other screen that will come up, and it shows you kind of like your journey, and you're on a little road. And as you get to different marks, it will open up these old literature sayings. And as I was playing her, this part of the map opened up for me, and I wanted to read you the quote. I wrote it up here in cursive because I hadn't done that in a really long time. And yes, it was a struggle, another mental thing, but let me read it to you. As she realized what might have been, she grew to be thankful for what was. Elizabeth Gaskell. Not too long after I opened that, and I really appreciated that quote and wrote it up here, I never heard from Marty again. She completely disappeared. And to this day, I don't know what happened to her, but one can make assumptions. But that time to be able to play her got me through some really hard times. And so I guess that's why I do what I do. And I hope you guys appreciate my content. And I've enjoyed being on here and getting to know all of you. It's been almost actually a year, I believe just over a year, that I have been making content specifically for YouTube. And it's been a journey because coming from TikTok and, playing Peg Bundy and Sophia from Golden Girls and Bernadette from The Big Bang Theory to long form content, it's definitely a lot different, but I'm enjoying it, and I feel like I'm getting my groove on here. And I just want to say that I appreciate all of you, and I really do enjoy the interaction that you leave in my comment section. And I hope you guys have an amazing Friday. Tomorrow, if I can make it over there, I have a super, super cool thing to show you guys. But I can't promise it because I don't know if I'm gonna have enough time. Anyway, have a great Friday, you guys, and I will see you later. Take care.